The new repressive bill suggests punishment for spreading fakes about the Russian army. It also provides for the confiscation of funds that are used to, quote, finance desertion, sabotage, and the disclosure of state secrets. In other words, human rights activists believe that they will be able to take away money and property from anyone who does not support Russia's war against Ukraine or calls the so-called special military operation a war.
The initial arrest will be subject to any property that exists at the time of arrest, and then we will see how it is done in practice, because in the text itself everything is written as vague as possible. It will be very difficult to understand how it will be implemented by the authorities.
The new law is another tool to put pressure on foreign agents, journalists, activists, public figures, politicians, and all citizens of the Federation who do not agree with the Kremlin's policies.
Relatives or children can live in the defendant's flat. It affects not only the individual directly, but also his loved ones. I think it can be used as a way of forcing an apology and admission of guilt.
For example, one of the grounds of confiscation of property is public calls for extremism and violation of the territorial integrity of the country. Russia's courts readily qualify this as doubts about Putin's legitimacy or say discussions about a parliamentary republic, and certainly the use of the word annexation in relation to the territories of Ukraine temporarily occupied by Russia, as well as references to mass murders of Ukrainians by the Russian military, war crimes of the Russian army, and crimes against humanity are the truest extremism for the Kremlin. The new draft law is made to intimidate and induce loyalty, human rights activists say.
It goes without saying that computers and gadgets will be confiscated. This was taken care of by the plenum of the Supreme Court, which specifically mentioned it in its recent ruling. This equipment, however, is taken away now even during administrative detentions. My main fear in connection with the draft law is that I think they are going to take away houses, flats and cars, even from Russian citizens living abroad. Ilya Shablinsky, lawyer and human rights defender, in a commentary to Voice of America.
According to lawyers, Russia is systematically reviving the repressive practices of Stalinism. During Stalin's dictatorship, flats and property were also taken away from repressed people, and new tenants, often members of the repressive authorities, were moved into those free flats.
There is certainly a threat that the law enforcers will go on a rampage, and it is quite obvious, but they will not achieve much effect. You don't need an expert to conclude that the document is unconstitutional, because the compositions themselves are not legal. There is no legal certainty in them. Rubber regulations and cannibalistic sanctions. Those are a clear sign of dictatorship. Elena Lukyanova, Doctor of Law, lecturer at the Free University, in a commentary to Voice of America.
According to the human rights project OVD Info, which keeps an independent count of criminal cases on repressive articles in Russia, from March 2022 to January 2024, 261 people became defendants in cases of so-called discrediting the Russian army. Reported by Anastasia Tarnavska, Victoria Smirnova, UATV News.